Hello and welcome to our coverage of the ongoing elections. I'm Rausan Pereira, and today we will talk about the state of West Bengal in our special segment, Rajyanama.
নমস্কার আপনারা কেমন আছেন
हर साल 72,000 रुपए न्याय योजना दिलवाएगी।
মামাটি মানুষের সরকার, এটা আমার জন্মভূমি, এটা আপনার জন্মভূমি, এটা মামাটি মানুষের জন্মভূমি।
West Bengal, a politically crucial state, is polling in all 7 phases of the Lok Sabha polls. So far, 10 constituencies have voted in the 3 phases that have taken place. Out of the rest of the seats, 8 will go to polls on the 29th of April. 7 will vote on May 6th. 8 seats will vote on May, while 9 will go to polls on May 19th. The other date, of course, was May 12th. Now, the final phase will also see Kolkata voting to choose its representative. Before we go to our studio guests, let's take a look at the state's political profile.
West Bengal has 4 principal players in the Lok Sabha polls this time. Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress, the Bharatiya Janata Party, the CPIM-led Left Front, and the Indian National Congress. The state assumes significance in the current political setup as it would send 42 MPs to the Lok Sabha, and also because it has the maximum number of first-time voters, over 20 lakhs after UP and MP. The ruling TMC will be seeking to improve its tally of 34 seats that it won in 2014, while the BJP will be looking to make inroads into this uncharted territory. In the last Lok Sabha polls, BJP had won just 2 seats, even though its vote share had improved substantially. The party is hoping to win seats in North Bengal and the region bordering Jharkhand, and some seats in North 24 Parganas. On the other hand, post their failure to reach a consensus on seat sharing, the Congress and the CPIM are going it alone in the polls. The CPIM is in fact fighting to revive its fortunes in a state that was once its bastion. With no alliances in place, West Bengal will now witness a multi-cornered fight. The state has 4 more phases to go in these polls. In the first phase on April 11th, 2 seats, Cooch Behar and Alipurduar, went to polls. The turnout was 81% in the 2 seats. In the second phase, the 3 seats of Jalpaiguri, Darjeeling and Raiganj polled about 76% votes on April 18th. In the third phase on April 23rd, 5 constituencies across Malda and Murshidabad polled about 67%.
Well, let's now go across to our data center and get us some numbers from West Bengal, where Tina Jha is standing by.
Thank you, Frank, and welcome all to our election data center. I'm Tina Jha. So West Bengal is witnessing a fierce battle for all its 42 Lok Sabha seats this time. A resurgent BJP is hoping to make a substantive increase in its tally in the state, while Mamata Banerjee is fighting it out of course to protect her turf. Until a few years ago, the BJP did not even figure in the state's political dynamics. But this time, it is a strong contender in the state of West Bengal. So it will be a 4-cornered contest in the state, just like in 2014, with the Trinamool Congress, the Left, Congress and the BJP contesting all 42 seats. Let's now talk about the last 2 general elections of 2009 and 2014 and which party stood where in terms of seats as well as vote share. First, talking about 2009. The BJP then won just 1 of the 42 Lok Sabha seats in West Bengal. The Congress party won 6 of the 42 seats. The Trinamool Congress won 19. The Left Front claimed 15, while 1 remaining seat went to others. But 5 years later, in 2014, when the Modi wave swept the entire country, West Bengal gave BJP 2 seats. The Congress came down from 6 seats to 4. The Trinamool Congress emerged as the biggest winner, getting 34 seats. The left parties, though, lost substantial ground, coming down from 15 seats in 2009 to just 2 in 2014. Now, looking at the vote share of all these political parties, we see that in 2009, the BJP got 6.14% of votes. That translated into 1 seat. The Congress's vote share stood at 13%. The TMC got 31% votes. The left front's vote share was the highest in 2009 at 43.3%, although they stood second behind the Trinamool Congress in the seat tally. So nearly 6% votes were polled in favor of the others, as you can see. And in 2014, the BJP saw a notable jump in its vote share from 6% in 2009 to 17% in 2014. Although the party won just 2 seats, its vote base in the state widened. The Congress's vote share, on the other hand, came down from 13% to 9.69% in 2014. The TMC increased its vote share by more than 8 percentage points from 31% in 2009 to 39.79% in 2014. The left parties lost significant ground among voters, coming down to 29.95%. About 3% votes were also polled in favor of the others in 2014. Let's also take a look at how the parties performed in the assembly elections in West Bengal in 2011 as well as in 2016. As we've already discussed, prior to 2014, the BJP did not hold any sway in West Bengal politics. So in the 2011 assembly elections, the party did not win any seat in the 294-member house. The Congress, on the other hand, won about 42 seats. The Trinamool Congress won the elections with a thumping majority with 184 seats. Mamata Banerjee wrecked the Red Bastion in West Bengal, ending the 34-year uninterrupted rule of the Left Front, which managed to win just 60 seats, while 8 remaining seats were won by others. Cut to the 2016 assembly elections that brought about cheer to the BJP. The party went from 0 seats in 2011 to 3 in 2016. The Congress added 2 seats to its previous number, going up from 42 to 44. The Trinamool Congress once again emerging as the biggest winner, posting a mammoth victory with 211 seats in the 294-member house. The left party's performance continued to see a downward trend. The left front came down further from 60 to just 32 seats in 2016 state polls, while the remaining 4 seats were claimed by the others. And here also, looking at the vote share of the parties, the BJP that won no seats in 2011 got 4% votes. The Congress got 9%. The Trinamool Congress got 38.93% votes, which translated into 184 seats for the party. 39.68% votes were also polled in favor of the left front. What must be noted about the vote share of both the TMC and the left here in 2011 is that even though the left front was decimated from power, its share was more than that of the winning party, the Trinamool Congress, which means that their vote base in West Bengal remained the highest even when they lost power. But by 2016, the BJP further improved its vote share to 10%. The Congress also saw an increase in vote share by about 3%. From 9% in 2011, its vote share went up to 12% in 2016. The Trinamool Congress's vote share surged to 44.91%. Now this time, the left front lost a significant portion of its vote share, coming down to 25.69% in 2016 from what you can see, 39.68% in 2011. So in recent years, the political dynamics in West Bengal have changed considerably, with the left front in continuous decline and the Congress confined to a few small pockets. The BJP has grown into a formidable opposition force. In fact, it emerged as the second largest party in the West Bengal Panchayat elections last year, indicating that the party's acceptability among voters has been steadily rising in West Bengal. Frank.
All right, Tina Jha, thank you for taking us through those extensive numbers of West Bengal. Let me now welcome my guests in the studio, Professor RAJVIR Sharma, political analyst on the program. Also with us, ASHOK Tandon, senior journalist. Thank you to the both of you for joining me on Rajya Sabha Television. Mr. Tandon, I'd like to begin with you. A very important state, West Bengal, 42 seats come from that particular state. But Mamata Banerjee has been ruling the roost, as the numbers have pointed out. Is that going to continue this time as well?
See, the trend which your analyst has shown appears to be continuing in the same direction. The left going down drastically, Congress also gradually going down, BJP making a big surge, and Mamata Banerjee maintaining its upsurge, I must say so. So, if it is to be seen in the context of the last Panchayat election vis-a-vis the 2014 Lok Sabha poll, the BJP vote share is likely to cross 20% this time, and Mamata Banerjee with 40 plus vote percentage will certainly retain her position as it was in the last Lok Sabha election. But the 6 seats which were with the Congress, 4 seats, and the left front 2 seats, they are likely to be on the defensive, because gradually their vote share is going down, their base is being decimated. As Mamata Banerjee recently said while she was addressing a rally in the Congress stronghold, that it was her decision to break away from Congress and form TMC that led to the ouster of the left front. So therefore she keeps on claiming credit for ousting the 34 years rule of the left front. So therefore her position seems to be intact, although and one thing we must appreciate is that the only leader, if I might say so, a regional leader who is taking Narendra Modi head on is Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal, because today's election in West Bengal is seen as Modi versus Mamata Banerjee. No other party is there in the race. There is hardly any a stalwart CPM leader in the state left. Congress also has got hardly any leader. So to challenge Modi's upsurge in West Bengal, it is Mamata Banerjee who is doing it. So therefore, if the surge in the vote share of BJP as was seen in 2014 and subsequently in the Panchayat poll is any indication, we are not sure how much of it will be translated into seats, because to win in West Bengal, or for that matter any parliamentary constituency, you must be touching nearly 30% vote. So therefore, the real issue in the West Bengal Lok Sabha election is whether BJP would be able to reach anywhere near 30%, and if that happens, the number of seats will also be calculated accordingly. But as things stand today, Mamata Banerjee seems to be holding her fort. Congress is on the losing trend. Left front is on the verge of being decimated, and the BJP is on the upswing. So eventually, what will be the seat share? Very difficult to predict at the moment, but BJP is hoping that this time their vote share surge will certainly translate into reality, and even the independent analysts who have been watching the West Bengal election, they say BJP may get up to 8 seats. One reason why BJP may not be able to do good in Darjeeling is because of the subsequent developments which have taken place, and therefore they may not be able to retain the Darjeeling seat. So that means out of the 2 seats which they held in 2014, even if they lose 1 and still hold gets 8 seats, that would mean definitely gain of 7 seats in West Bengal. That seems to be the scenario right now.
All right. Before I come to you, Professor, let's go across to our correspondent AKHILESH Suman, who's joining us from the ground in West Bengal right now, and get a sense of what's happening there. AKHILESH Suman, you've been traveling the length and breadth of West Bengal for a few weeks now. Take us through the situation on the ground as it stands right now.
You know, the way first and second phase of election and third phase of election has gone, you know that there is a sense of unease in the ranks of Trinamool Congress. And that sense of unease is coming because of the strictness of, election commission, and also because of deployment of paramilitary forces to a great extent. Because what I have been talking to many people in the countryside and also in the town area, everyone expresses one thing, that whether we will reach the polling booth or not. And that is a major concern for everyone who is against Trinamool Congress, that they should reach at the polling booth. And the whole network of, Trinamool Congress and Mamata Banerjee has been created in such a way that it mixes politics with violence. And politics with violence and also together with, the strict vigil on who is a left-front supporter, who is Congress supporter, who is BJP supporter, and who is Trinamool supporter. So the whole effort is that those who are against Trinamool Congress, they should not reach to the polling booth. This has been the, trend of Trinamool Congress, and this has been also visible in last, Panchayat election, that almost 35% of the candidates who wanted to fight the election, they were not allowed to even file the nomination. This was really, everyone is expressing that how it can be possible. The case went to the court, and also court didn't take any action. So I think this also bolstered some way or other Trinamool Congress morale, that yes, they can do and get away with this thing also. But this time I think that every political party had contacted Election Commission, and Election Commission has taken a view of this, that yes, there should be paramilitary forces at polling booths, and there should be enough vigil by the election commissions. And that is why I think that you have seen some violence at many booths in Trinamool Congress, many booths in Trinamool Congress hold areas, and I think it was showing the sense of unease. So it is it is very important that this vigil should be intact, so that people should go and vote. And if people can go and vote, the whole logic that Trinamool Congress has absolute hold over voters, it will come to the reality that yes, this is not the situation, because people are thinking in a different way. People are really, many people tell me off the record that yes, we have to have democracy. It cannot be happening that in West Bengal you talk about democratic right from West Bengal, you talk about democratic rights in the country, and in West Bengal you curb democratic rights. So there is a unease. And
Right.
so results may be unpredictable, results may be really surprising if at polling booths, and if people can go out of their houses and poll the vote. So that is very important, that whether people can go in the next phases of election and vote. If they go, they will, I think BJP and other political party will also get some votes. And BJP may get a major vote, because I think that BJP has a great groundswell. People are speaking for BJP,
Right.
because BJP is giving alternative to left front and also alternative to Congress. And I think people are coming to the BJP.
All right. Akhilesh, Suman, do stay with us. I'm going to come back to you for another reaction on really what are the issues on the ground that matter to the people. Is it national issues or other issues? But let me get in the comment from Professor RAJVIR Sharma before I come to you. Professor, this issue of violence, widely reported in the press, several deaths have occurred as a result of, political clashes in the state itself. How much of an impact is it going to have on the election or the voting pattern itself?
You see, if you look at the history, electoral history of West Bengal, beginning with 34 years rule of CPM, and now of course the second term for Trinamool Congress, Mamata Banerjee, there is one similarity. And the similarity is that the CPM could hold to its long rule or misrule through very, some kind of high-handedness. And even at that time, the beating of the opponents was a normal situation in CPM rule. There was crime, cruelty even at that time. People were intimidated. The voters were not allowed to go even at that time. And the kind of resistance which Mamata Banerjee came to symbolize to the misrule or the kind of barbarous rule of the CPM gave dividends and paid dividends to the TMC. Unfortunately, the TMC under the leadership of Mamata Banerjee is following CPM in letter and spirit, so far as the booth capturing is concerned, so far as intimidation of voters is concerned, so far as the corruption is concerned. She has added one more: cruelty, crime and corruption. So she represents now three things, and therefore sometimes, even if the voter may be afraid of the ruling class, still we have a secret ballot, and therefore, like Mamata Banerjee came to power unexpectedly at that time, the kind of change that took place, I will not be surprised that BJP may also gain tremendously in West Bengal, because BJP has in fact represented the opposition. The role,
certain sections within the BJP are saying that 22 seats are possible
I will
in
not
West
be
Bengal out of
surprised.
42.
I will not be surprised, though it may be quite a bit ambitious, but I will not be surprised, because the question, if you go even to the villages, it means that BJP has made certain inroads even in the rural areas. The results of the Panchayati Raj, and despite the fact that Mamata Banerjee was very cruel at that time, she was not allowing people to file their nominations. People were not allowed to cast their votes. Despite that, BJP did very well. At number 2, it came in the Panchayati Raj elections. So it means that the kind of rule of Danda may not be the real kind of a source of getting or gaining support from the people.
Right, right.
Democracy, in fact, plays a very important role.
Yes, Mr. Tandon, and also another, you could answer my question as well. You know, a four-cornered contest in all the 42 seats in West Bengal, is that also going to have an impact on the voting?
No, before that, if your correspondent is still on the line, I would like to ask him that in spite of what he said, how come that the poll percentage in all the rounds in West Bengal has been above 80%, which is way ahead of the rest as compared with the rest of the country. So if people are being intimidated, not allowed to go to polling booth, how come 80 plus 86%, up to 86% polling has taken place? So that means people are conscious. People know what they are going to do, and in spite of all the intimidation by the goons, if I may use the word, of Trinamool Congress, people are going to the booth. There were bomb blasts also outside one of the polling stations. But the fact remains that the people of West Bengal are politically vigilant. They know what they are doing, and therefore high turnout, which has been the practice in the past also. West Bengal has always recorded 80+% of vote. So if people are going out in spite of all the intimidation and other things, I think it's a healthy sign. But the question which you asked me was about the four-corner contest. See, I don't think the four-corner contest is in real terms, because Congress vote share, whatever we have seen by your statistics, is spread all over the West Bengal, except for the Kolkata, Greater Kolkata constituency, where Congress has been very strong in the past as well. Elsewhere, Congress may not be even in the fight. But CPM will certainly be there everywhere, left front. But in the last 10-12 years, the left front vote share also has been gradually going down, and all their cadres are now shifting towards Trinamool Congress. So therefore, on paper, it may be a four-corner contest, but I think in most of the constituencies, again, if I may say so, the contest is likely to be between Trinamool Congress and BJP, whose vote share has surged substantially. And if one goes to West Bengal and see the campaigning, it is quite apparent that it is between Mamata Banerjee and Narendra Modi. And this is the division in West Bengal, and there is hardly any senior CPM leader who could be projected as a third face in the 2019 election, and there is hardly any Congress leader.
Right.
So even if it is a four-corner contest, the result will show that it will be between Trinamool Congress and BJP.
All right, we'll talk about the left's decline in the state of West Bengal, a bastion really, like how the other panelists too have suggested, in power continuously for 34 years in the state, but now left really with scraps at the moment in West Bengal. We'll talk about that a little ahead in the program. But before that, let me go across to our correspondent who's still with us, AKHILEsh. Suman, you know, Mr. Tandon was talking about how the voting percentage has been extremely high really in West Bengal, you know, despite what the Trinamool Congress goons, as he put it, have done really in the state. And also, if you could tell us, what are the real issues on the ground in West Bengal? What is it? What are the two biggest issues that are likely to change the course of the election this time?
You know, first let me answer Mr. Tandon's question. polling percentage going high is a good thing, and because of the competitive politics has come in a big way in West Bengal. Both left front and BJP has put a brave front, and they are also trying to mobilize their people, even the Congress. And Trinamool Congress, you know that Trinamool Congress is the master in mobilizing the people at this point of time. So I told that if this pace is continued, that people should go and vote, cast their votes at the polling booth, the result might be surprising. And if you tell about the past, that in past also the polling percentage in West Bengal was high. One of the factors was also that many of the votes that were casted, if you go to the polling booth, you were told that yes, your vote is being cast, vote has been casted, you please go back. So this was the trend, this was the political trend in West Bengal. I came to know from many of the people, they went to and this was a very rampant phenomena in West Bengal, that votes were cast by EVMs, bogus, and whole administrative machinery were helping Trinamool Congress. It is really very difficult to assess in this point of time that how far local machinery has helped Mamata Banerjee. But there has been cases that, the machinery was helping Mamata Banerjee, and it was reported to the Election Commission, and then it was rectified. So it is still to be judged. Another thing, that what are the issues? Really the issue in West Bengal is one issue, major issue is democracy. People are suffocating. As a journalist, I felt that but people are not ready to talk. I have traveled to West Bengal, I have traveled to Bihar, I have traveled to UP. West Bengal situation is the worst. They are not ready to talk to you. If they are being seen near the camera, they will feel afraid. They will see here and there and they will leave. They don't feel fit to talk to the camera. It's not a democracy. So one thing, major thing that is undercurrent in West Bengal, they are striving for democracy. They are striving for freedom of vote, freedom of speech. One major thing. And that is why undercurrent is there in favor of BJP. Another thing that is really one of the most important thing, that this is true that Mamata Banerjee has also delivered some good to the West Bengal people. There had been development, roads infrastructure has gone very well in comparison to the left front government. That I can comment that Mamata Banerjee had done very well. And also that the schemes, government schemes has also gone down and it has poured inside the villages, poured inside the people who needed it. Female also feel that yes, they are getting the benefit of a schemes that either it is borrowed from the central government or it is a state government scheme themselves, renamed or refamed. But yes, it is being delivered. So Mamata Banerjee, on this count, you can give that yes, she has done positively on this count. But another issue that comes in the fray, that the issue of minoritism. Mamata Banerjee does some sort of minoritism in the state, and people expressed off the record that yes, there is a issue of minoritism in the state, and that is, they also tell somehow or other appeasement to the certain sections of certain community of society. So this is also undercurrent issue in West Bengal. So these are the three issues that are working. And fourth issue that is also very important, Frank, that assembly elections are not being held together. So people are also having a fear inside their mind that if I voted for other parties than Trinamool Congress, we will see that the same way state government is continuing after the parliamentary election, and we may have to face the situation. So this type of mindset is also one of the major issues.
All right, these are some of the four issues really is what you pointed out as far as on the ground in West Bengal is concerned. We'll slip into a short break now. On the other side, we'll talk about the decline of the left in the state of West Bengal. Our discussion will continue right here on Rajya Sabha TV. Stay tuned.
Today we'll take a closer look at the National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems.
The interacting with the physical systems in the cyberspace is what is referred as the cyber-physical systems.
The three sectors, the academia, the industry and the government areas, have to work in very close tandem so that the money is optimally spent. The timing is right.
So the whole idea of this mission, I think, is to transpose those really brilliant ideas all the way from a laboratory workbench into a product.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back. You're watching India Votes 2019 on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Frank Rausan Pereira. The CPIM-led Left Front was once a formidable force in West Bengal politics. It ruled the state for 34 years since 1977, but has recently seen its vote bank shrinking fast. A leadership crisis in its ranks and an increasing struggle to hold on to its ground in the state. This year's Lok Sabha polls is one of its toughest political battles in the state, a battle that is existential to its survival.
আমি মমতা ব্যানার্জি ঈশ্বর ও আল্লাহর নামে শপথ করিতেছি।
When Mamata Banerjee was sworn in as the Chief Minister of West Bengal for the first time in May 2011, it marked the end of the longest ruling democratically elected Communist Party in the world. After that, it has been all downhill for the left parties in West Bengal, both in the Assembly and Lok Sabha polls. With every successive election, the left's vote share has gone down. From the peak of 35 seats and 50% vote share in the 2004 Lok Sabha polls, the Communists' fortune hit a new low of just 2 seats in 2014. In the 2011 Assembly elections, the year it lost power to TMC, it managed to win just 60 of the 294 seats in West Bengal. 5 years later, in 2017, their share came down further to just 32 seats. When you analyze the fall of the once mighty left in West Bengal, it seems the front somehow lost its grip on the pulse of the people. The move towards industrialization, specifically the Tata project at Singur and the special economic zone at Nandigram, proved to be costly for the left front. The then government's land acquisition policy for these projects is widely regarded as the beginning of the end of communist rule in West Bengal. Mamata Banerjee's anti-land acquisition movement in the two places also eroded the left front's vote bank in rural Bengal. In the 2009 Lok Sabha polls, the left suffered a setback for the first time as its tally dropped to 15 in the state. With the fall of its government in 2011, it came down to an all-time low of just 2 seats in 2014 when it polled 29% votes. The left front is still capable of attracting crowds to its programs, but that success is somehow seldom translated into votes. Also, the front has lost the role of uniting the opposition against the BJP to TMC. A recent TMC-led rally in Kolkata brought together several opposition leaders, with the left front absent from the dais.
Well, let's now go back to our data center where Tina Jha is standing by.
Thank you, Frank, once again. And as you rightly pointed out earlier, that the left front was an invincible force in the state of West Bengal. But in the past 2 elections, both national as well as the state polls, it has been the biggest loser. The Trinamool Congress wrested power from the left front in 2011, ending its more than 3-decade rule in West Bengal. And ever since, the electoral fortune of the left parties has declined drastically. Their vote bank has seen massive erosion in the last few years. Let me first show you how the left parties performed in the 2009 and 2014 general elections. In 2009, the CPIM emerged victorious on 9 seats. The CPI won 2 seats, the All India Forward Bloc won 2, and the RSP also won 2 seats. Together, these 4 parties won 15 of the 42 Lok Sabha seats in Bengal. In 2014, the CPIM lost 7 seats, coming down to only 2 seats in 2014 from 9 in 2009. The CPI drew a blank, losing both the seats that it had won back in 2009. The All India Forward Bloc as well as the RSP also came down to 0, losing both seats that they too had won in 2009, 5 years ago. In 2009, the CPIM got 33.1% votes, which translated into 9 seats for the party. The vote share of CPI was 3.6%. The All India Forward Bloc and the Revolutionary Socialist Party got 3.04 and 3.56% of the votes respectively. Together, these parties got a little above 40% of the total votes polled in 2009. But 5 years later, in 2014, the CPIM lost more than 10% of its vote share, coming down to 22.96%. The CPI's vote share also came down to just 2.36%. The AIFB and RSP also lost votes, coming down to 2.17% and 2.46% respectively. Their combined vote share stood at 29.95%, over 13% less than what they got in 2009. And the situation was the same in the assembly elections as well. The year the front lost power to TMC, the CPIM won 40 of the 294 seats. The CPI won 2 seats, the All India Forward Bloc 11 and the RSP 7 seats. Now these numbers went down further in the 2016 assembly elections. The CPIM was reduced to just 26 seats, the CPI to 1, the All India Forward Bloc to 2 and the RSP to 3 seats. However, in terms of the vote share, we've already told you that the front did not immediately lose its vote base, even though it lost power in the year 2011. The CPIM polled over 30% of the votes, while the other 3 parties polled the nearly 10% of the votes that the left front together got. But by 2016, the disillusionment with the left front had clearly set in, with the front losing over 14% of its vote share, and the biggest loser being the CPIM. Frank.
All right. Tina Jha, thank you for taking us through those numbers there as far as the left front in West Bengal concerned. All right. Professor, what led to the decline really of the left front in West Bengal, and what is it that has brought it to its present state?
I think there were 2 or 3 factors, according to my mind, which were responsible for the decline of the left vote in West Bengal. One, that the kind of a defeat which CPM and its allies had in parliament as well as in assembly elections had a demoralizing impact on the leadership also, not only the cadre but leadership also. And this is reflected even now that no senior leader is really seen in the elections of West Bengal today. But apart from this, there have been some demoralizing impacts on the CPM even otherwise, because CPM not only lost in West Bengal, but it also lost in some other states where it was ruling for quite a long time, and Tripura is one of them. So it means that there is a general disenchantment or about the policies, programs and ideology and the methodology, the techniques, the repression, the suppression which CPM and its allies unleashes on the people. And in a democratic setup, you know, the crime and corruption and cruelty do not go long, and they do not stay for long. Even if people are afraid, and if free and fair election is allowed to, at least the person is allowed to go to the polling booth, I think he exercises his free vote, even if there is a fear. And that is what I am seeing even today, that the first challenge before the Election Commission in West Bengal today is to hold free and fair elections. And despite the deployment of the CRPF, we find that even then the bomb blasts are taking place, the violence is taking place. So how to really plug in the other elections to come on the future dates in May somewhere. So that is one challenge. Another challenge which I find today is that even though there might be some kind of schemes, but the kind of perception that there is an alternative. you know, how Mamata Banerjee came to power? Because the people of West Bengal were convinced that there is an alternative to CPM. And when they were convinced that there is an alternative to CPM, they voted for TMC. Similarly, I think that the kind of crowds which Prime Minister Modi is drawing in West Bengal, that there seems to be some kind of an impression that there is an alternative to TMC. And if the voter is convinced that there is an alternative to TMC, TMC will face the same fate which
CPM
faced earlier vis-a-vis the TMC.
Right.
The third reason for the decline of the two parties is the loss of sincerity. Even in opposing the kind of the misrule, they hardly are seen. And it is only the BJP which is, and another very important factor which your reporter was also pointing out, that the minority appeasement will have some kind of psychological impact on the voters of the other kind of castes or communities. And even if she goes to Mandir and other things, even then people will remember as to how the idols were not allowed, how the processions of the Hindus were not allowed by TMC. The TMC in fact has come to symbolize, to captivate the machinery of the state.
Right. So Mr. Tandon, you know, the left is at one point in time played a major role at the center, you know, deciding on policy, deciding on who the Prime Minister possibly would be, and so on and so forth. But today is fighting an existential crisis, not just in West Bengal, but across the country.
Sure. You know, the 35-year rule of the left front in West Bengal was largely on account of the left front pitching against the center, as if, you know, they were really working as a regional force and all the time accusing the center of maltreatment or stepmother treatment with the West Bengal. That slogan they continued for a very long time. And in West Bengal, Congress party, where the leaders like Das Munshi, Mamata Banerjee and Saugat Rai, they were all youngsters at that time. So they were facing a dilemma. The same Congress party at the center is working with the help of the left front, but in West Bengal, they are allowing the left front to rule and asking these youngsters to face them. So this dilemma was broken by Mamata Banerjee. She told Narasimha Rao point blank, either we are with left front or we are against left front. It can't be that in West Bengal we are against the left front and in center you are helping them or they are helping you. So she broke and she formed Trinamool Congress, which means grassroots level Congress. And from there she started building up a new Congress party and gradually decimating the traditional Congress party in West Bengal. And that is how she provided an alternative to the left front government in West Bengal. And that was the beginning of the decline of West Bengal, because in the 35 years rule, the left front did not do any development work. They were just exploiting the people's sentiment against the central rule. And they had grabbed all the institutions right up to the grassroots level, and the party structure was in the hands of people who could do extortion, they could do anything and get away with that. So once a new Congress emerged on the scene, because Congress was a very powerful party in West Bengal since independence. You know, the Congress had produced so many stalwarts, Dr. Vidhan Chandra Roy and Siddharth Shankar Ray, many other Congress stalwarts. So once a new Congress emerged on the scene, people started shifting from the left front to the Trinamool Congress, and that is how gradually the left front decline started. The point you asked me was that the third front government was formed at the center because of the Congress leadership, like Harkrishan Singh Surjit was there on the scene, Jyoti Basu himself was a stalwart, and they could play a role at the center. And similarly, the decline of the Congress was again because of this thing. So this contradiction in West Bengal politics, which Mamata Banerjee realized long ago and gradually started building up. We should not forget that in the NDA government, Mamata Banerjee was a partner. She was a minister in Vajpayee government because she wanted to emerge as powerful regional force in West Bengal. So I think we must appreciate the way Mamata Banerjee has worked very hard to oust the left front from West Bengal, and that's why she is still claiming, because wherever Congress is contesting in West Bengal and Mamata Banerjee is facing Congress, she is ridiculing the Congress for allowing left front to rule for 34 years.
Right.
Another thing which Mamata Banerjee has, she is a very aggressive and proactive politician. She will not her detractors or rivals to just win and get away with that. And that is exactly, even in Asansol, which the seat which BJP won, Babul Supriya last time, she has brought Munmun Sen, a veteran film star, to counter Babul Supriya. Even in Darjeeling, she has split that Gorkha party, and now she will be in fact giving a tough fight to the BJP candidate even in Darjeeling. So she is not leaving any stone unturned to decimate the left front, to replace Congress with a Trinamool Congress, and not allow BJP to gain the way the BJP has been expanding. So on all fronts, she is in fact facing all the three political parties single-handedly.
Head on.
Trinamool also is one person party. It is not a party which has like a traditional history. She has grabbed the entire Congress culture and also working the way CPM has been working in West Bengal.
Sure.
So that she has, I think, learned all the tricks of the trade to continue to be in power. One last thing I would like to say is, in the 2019 Lok Sabha election, all the posters and banners which are coming up in West Bengal are indicating that Mamata Banerjee play a role at the center. The white dhoti and Hawaii chappal should reach Delhi now. That is the slogan. There is a need. People's government in Delhi, obviously that means Mamata Banerjee has no national aspirations.
Right.
On which Prime Minister has commented that the Prime Ministership you can't win in an auction. And so Prime Minister also has been attacking Mamata Banerjee, because now, as I said earlier, the 2019 Lok Sabha election is direct between BJP and TMC, and if I may say so, between Narendra Modi and Mamata Banerjee.
All right. I can't go across to my correspondent at this point in time. I wanted to get a thought from him as well as to what's happening as far as the left front and the Congress in the state is concerned. But Professor, what is the strategy, do you think, as far as the Congress and the left are concerned? Because like both of you are pointing out, you know, they have been bastions for these two parties in the past, but have lost out over the last decade or so to the Trinamool Congress. So what is their strategy? Do they have a plan really to come back? Can they make a comeback in the state of West Bengal?
I don't think CPM or Congress are contesting the election for winning it. They in fact want to just prove that they exist in West Bengal even today, and therefore their effort would be to increase their vote share if they can. And the real battle, as Mr. Tandon was saying, is between BJP and Trinamool. So that is another factor why it has demoralized both Congress and the CPM and allies. So therefore the strategy could be that they try to...
I'll just come back to you, Professor. Our correspondent has rejoined us before the line gets disconnected. Let me go across to Akhilesh. Suman. Akhilesh, when I was asking the professor here, really, what is the strategy as far as the Congress and the left in West Bengal are concerned to try and stage a comeback this time around? Are they serious contenders? Do they believe themselves that they can do well this time?
I think one thing that, you know, left front and Congress are not fighting on all the seats. You know, this is also surprising that left front has left 2 seats for the Congress and Congress has left 2 seats for the left front on the mutual understanding basis, on the moral basis that yes, Congress felt that 2 seats left are strong, so they have left 2 seats, and left fronts thought that 2 seats Congress is strong, so they have left. So 40 seats each, Congress and left front are fighting. So there is not 4-cornered contest on all the, you know, in all the constituencies. Other than that, you know, that I can give you a very, you know, colored that how things went wrong in West Bengal. The day election was announced, I was in Kolkata. And I was getting all the hint, and then I made the Congress leaders, I made the left front leaders. they were all euphoric. I can say that they were all euphoric that Congress and left are going to have a seat adjustment. And they told that with left front and Congress, it will not be 1 + 1 = 2, but it will be 1 and 1 = 11. They thought that if left front and Congress align together, they can tell their voters and they can guard their voters from their homes to the polling booths, and in that way their morale will be uplifted, and in that case they can swell the ground. Something went very wrong in the later discussion period. Left front was adamant that we should get whatever seats we have won, we should get all those seats. And Congress was also first. Congress, agreed that yes, seating getting is okay. But one thing that Deepa Das Munshi, pressured, I think, Congress High Command. She also gave a hint that, she can join the BJP. And in that way, I think Rahul Gandhi and left front leaders, in one leader's house I was sitting and a phone call came from Rahul Gandhi and they talked a lot about things. But something went very wrong, and then left and Congress were, they were not together. Now the whole thing is that they are not together at this point of time. There is no seat adjustment. There is no understanding between left front and all the polling booths. So it is really a big, jolt to the political forces other than BJP and Trinamool Congress, and the benefit will go to BJP in that case.
Right.
Other than that, that left front, left front was thinking that if we are allowed to vote, our cadres are activated and their cadres are alive, and the fear that they will join the TMC or they will join the BJP for their survival will vanish. But let us see that how it pans up. But I think that the understanding between Congress and left is not there in West Bengal in this point of time.
Right.
And I could sense the same thing that when Congress decided to put its candidate in Kerala, I think that confidence also vanished. And in Bihar, if
all right,
see
Akhilesh,
the Kanhaiya
Suman,
Kumar
running out of
episode
time.
that left
Thank you
fired
for
a lot,
joining us
that
on the
yes,
program and sharing your views on what's happening there in the state of West Bengal and bring us up to date with a ground reality really from the state. Yes, Professor, you are making a point very quickly because I've got limited time.
I was saying that insofar as this election is concerned, the strategies which Congress and CPM were thinking of allying with each other, that has failed obviously. So now the election strategy is more on rhetorics, criticizing the Prime Minister of attempting division, destroying democracy, destroying constitution and so on, without giving any kind of a clear evidence. That is no strategy.
Right.
Because merely having a negative kind of an approach may not yield the results. So therefore I am saying that this election basically is between TMC and the BJP.
Sure.
And BJP may improve tremendously this time, particularly in the rural areas as well.
All right. Mr. Rannan, please close the show for us with the concluding remarks.
No, the politics in West Bengal has come full circle. It was Mamata Banerjee, Das Munshi, Saugat Rai and other youth Congress leaders who used to warn the Congress central leadership for not aligning with the left front. Today, same Mamata Banerjee stands vindicated that there is no alliance between the left front and Congress. So, if that strategy has been maintained, perhaps left front would have been uprooted long ago and Congress would have remained united. Today, in West Bengal, Trinamool Congress is for all practical purposes the real Congress. Not only that, she is now opening up her units in other states as well. She will be even campaigning for Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi against Congress Party. So therefore, I think there was no strategy between Congress as left front. Leaving 2 seats each doesn't mean anything. So I think Congress somehow has failed to cobble together a grand alliance which was proposed by the opposition to counter Narendra Modi. So we see no alliance taking place in UP, no alliance taking place in West Bengal, no alliance taking place even in Odisha, where they could have done. Even in Tripura also, West Bengal, they could have done left front and Congress. So I think there is no strategy of the combined opposition as such, which we were being told that if there is a Mahagathbandhan of all political parties, non-BJP political parties, perhaps a challenge could be thrown to Narendra Modi's leadership.
Right.
But today I don't see that, and therefore the picture is very clear before the people.
All right. On that note, then, we'll call it a wrap on this edition of Rajyanama India Votes 2019. Thank you to my guests for joining me on the program and sharing your views on West Bengal. With that, it's a wrap. See you again next time.